Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. This is the solutionist, Nwosu. And in a second, we're going to be getting to it. Let me just make sure that all these technicalities are fully functional. Okay. All right. Let me lower this a bit. All right. All right. Let's get started. So today's topic is right there on your screen, right? We're talking about how to take $100,000 home renting cars. We're talking about Turo, we're talking about Hyrecar, we're talking about Getaround. Okay? So these are some of the platforms that enables you to take this kind of money home renting these cars. All right? Let me just make sure this is all set. Guys, patient with me. All right. So, yes, you might ask, what is my credibility? How is it that I'm able to basically speak on this subject? Well, the initial thing is that I have worked with the biggest peer-to-peer car rental company here in Chicagoland area for a couple of years prior to the pandemic. And the name of that company is Oats and Preferty LLC. It was the biggest peer-to-peer car rental company at the height of it all. They owned close to 70 cars. I also managed the fleet belonging to Fed the Realtor, which was a real estate agent here in the Chicagoland area. He had a fleet of cars as well. I also managed the cars belonging to Badu Tax Services. It was Jeff Badu. He's an accountant here in Chicagoland area. And I also managed cars belonging to him and his group of friends that came together to build a company, which I was a partner with. I was partner with them, and together I had over 100 cars in management. Right. So what did I do? Most of these cars went before they left. They needed oil change. They needed brakes, rotors. They needed so many maintenance checks or things that would actually result to a worst case scenario. So we try to prevent. I try to prevent that. So anything from tires to oil change to fixing bumpers, changing rotors, just anything that would make the experience of the renter a bad one or bring a negative review to the company. My job or my duty was to basically negate that and make sure that that is not something that happens. So these are some of the things that I did. So at the height of it, Michael Oates, who was the biggest peer-to-peer car rental owner here in the Chicagoland area, I he was presented with an award, and on the day he was to receive the award, he invited me and gave me an extra ticket. So I had a plus one. I took a date with me to the Turo convention where he received the award, and he received the award for the company that gave the most rides in the country, I believe. So on that occasion, I was able to meet so many other guys that were part of the Turo community. Okay, that was where I met Jeff. That was where Jeff Badu of Badu Tax Services. That was where I met Federico of Fed the Realtor. That was where I met a couple of other guys, and from there, it was able to amplify the services that I provided and enabled me to basically monetize the whole process and provide these guys with very decent service and made their life easier. So these are some of my credibility that I have to speak on this topic. And not only that, furthermore, to give you insight, I at some point owned my own Turo fleet too. Or at some point, I started building my Turo fleet. So I have rental cars as well. And that gave me insight to the possibility of the type of income that could be earned or that could be taken or earned from this business endeavor. Okay. And not only that, also dealing with Jeff Badu and his cronies, I was able to get an insight on the amount of money possible from basically taking this business very seriously and doing it on a full-time basis. Okay, so now to go into further details, some of the things that you might have to ask yourself before you want to get into this business is, do you have a car? So first of all, first and foremost, you have to have a car to even start attempting to go into this Turo business, because that's the whole point. You're providing your personal car for people that are coming from out of town and your locals and people that live around you, even your neighbors, to rent. So you need a car. The second requirement is you need to have proper plates and registration on this car. So the car has to be properly registered in your state or out of state, but has to have legal and current registration and plates. So on the plate, some of states, there's stickers on the plate, like Illinois, it tells you when the plate is going to expire. Like today is March 4th, okay? So your sticker has to read a date that is on or before or after March 4th. So it cannot be before, March 3rd. That will be expired. So you need to have those current plates. And then the next thing you need to do, you need to make sure that the maintenance is up to date. If the maintenance is not up to date, this is a car that would bring you negative reviews. And of course, that's what we want to avoid. You don't want negative reviews on your Turo account, because you have so much negative reviews for so long, Turo is going to shut you down. All right. So for those of you that don't have a car, that's not a problem. All you need to do is have access to an auction, and you can get a car for the guys that are dealers or wholesalers. And on the other hand, if you're just a regular citizen, you could walk into a retail dealer and finance a car or buy a car with cash or whatever your case may be. And just like that, you're set to go. So, in the case of making $100,000, right? Oh, by the way, when you finance a car or buy a car from a retail dealer, it comes with the place, registration, maintenance, and everything ready to go. Okay. So in the case of making $100,000, if you live, based on my personal experience and experiment, if you live in a slow state or you're experiencing like Turo is not very vibrant where you live, on the worst case scenario, based on my experience, you can make about $350 with one car. Okay. And in such a case, you're going to need about 23 to 24 cars to make $100,000 in a year. Okay. But on the flip side, living in Chicago, using a 2010 Chevy Malibu, I realized that a car like that is a car that is very quick to rent. Renters love the Chevy Malibu because it's a very simplistic car, and it's very easy for anybody to drive. For whatever reason it is, an American car, and just renters, Americans love it. All right. So I had a 2010 Chevy Malibu, and in most cases, that car had brought in a steady $2,500, $3,500 every month. So that's the kind of car you want. So if you have 4 to 5 of these cars, you are possibly looking at about $100,000 a year. Because if you do the math, you will see that in a year, one of these cars will be bringing you, about 20 something thousand dollars a year. And if you have 4 to 5 of them, that's $100,000 a year. Okay. And remember, this number is going to fluctuate. Some months you're going to rent way more than 3,500. You're going to exceed that number. You might, the car might bring in about $5,000, and some months it might bring in a little bit under 2,500. But for the most part, it's pretty steady. You know, there's always going to be outliers. There's going to be some months where you do 1,500, but as long as you put it out there, and you're eager, and your availability of your car is very high, and renters have access to this car at the drop of a dime, without any 24-hour notice, your car is always going to be rented out. So what you want to do is make sure that you make your car highly available to renters. Okay, offer heightened flexibility, such as airport drop-offs, and in some cases, 24-hour pickup. Um, the Turo app will show you so many ways to accommodate your renters. So just whatever you can do to be the most accommodating host. That's what you want to do. And this will enable your car be rented out more. And the more your car rents out, the more income you bring in. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, you want to download the app. You want to fill out all the necessary information about yourself. And in some cases, it's going to require your driver's license and whatnot. Okay, you want to take a picture of the car or cars. If you're going for $100,000, I assume you have cars, about 4 to 5 Chevy Malibus or cars, in such category, Toyota Camry, four-door, or those sedans, okay? On the other hand, your cars have to be available at all times, okay? Insurance is going to be provided by Turo, and for providing you with insurance, on the low end, Turo is going to take about 15%. And for 15%, they're going to offer you a basic package liability insurance. But if you want a full coverage, Turo is going to be taking about 35% of your earnings. In exchange, they would provide you with a full coverage insurance. There's a mid-level insurance package, which is about 25%, right? In which Turo takes 25% and you take 75%, and they provide you a mid-level insurance package. Okay, so at the liability level, your renter gets into an accident, the person that they hit, the person gets covered. On the heightened level, on the 35% range where you get the highest coverage, your car gets replaced, regardless of what is going on. Okay, so which is the best? So for most of you that want to go into this hustle, what I would recommend is this, right? Be very selective of who rents your cars, okay? Depending on the kind of individual renting your car, based on your analysis and your discernment abilities, you want to pick the insurance provision wisely. Okay, when you see very responsible people renting your car, responsible meaning the appearance, the way they speak, their record, you look at their Turo feedback, you could put the insurance at about 1585, which is where you earn the most income from Turo. So Turo providing you 15%, taking 15% of your earnings to provide you the basic level liability insurance. But now, if you're renting your car to one of these rogue agents or deviants of society or people that have that tendency, then you might want to go ahead and opt for the 65 35 ratio, where Turo provides you with a full coverage insurance for 35% of your earnings. All right. At the end of the day, it's worth it. All right. So with that said, now what you want, you're ready to earn. So all you have to do is wait for the rental. So now you have your car or cars registered with current plates and registration. Maintenance is up to date. The pictures on Turo, everything is dandy and ready to go. Now all you have to do is just ready. You're ready to earn. You're waiting on the renters. So all you have to do at this point is go live your life. So once the renters show up and rent your cars, your process is started. So you could decide on the process you want to use. You want to hand off the key. You want to use lock boxes. I know back in those days, most of my the guys that I maintain their car, they use lockbox system, where they use the real estate lockbox system to store the keys. So when the renter showed up, they give them the password to the box, they punch in the number, and they grab the keys. And then upon returning, they did the same thing. Okay, they put a whole new box in there with a new number. They told them the code. They put the key in there. That way it gives it basically tells you exactly who is accessing the box and who is liable in case anything goes wrong. So in this case, this is a business that could be actually hands-free. This is a business you could do that is actually passive. But of course, there's some forework that has to be done before this could be a passive income generating kind of business. All right. So one of the things you want to do once you're now living your life, your Turo business is coasting, everything is going, is dandy. You always want to stay on top of maintenance. You want to make sure that your cars are up to date, and any car that is, basically not reporting properly, or basically has the tendency to cost you any kind of client or ratings, I suggest you decommission that car and replace it with a car that is very roadworthy, lower miles, very little maintenance required, and a car that is newer. Okay, so these are some of the ways to run about it. So once you're done with that part, once your maintenance is up and going and everything, so I would say stay small. So now you have about 45 cars bringing about $100,000 a year. Stay small. But if you don't want to stay small, you want to turn this into a full blown operation, like I saw in Miami. When I went out to Miami, I saw a guy, he had a lot filled with about 30 cars, 30 car plus. He had pickup trucks, vans, sports cars, all kinds of stuff. I think there were two brothers, and they managed this lot. And they made about 60 to $90,000 a month. So that's a whole different kind of operation. You understand? So you could scale up, and in that case, now we're looking at, so if you're in a slow state where a car is making about $350 a month, if you have 10 cars, that's $3,500 a month. If you have 20 cars, that's $7,000 a month, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's how you scale that up. Now, if you have Chevy Malibus in a very busy city where one Chevy Malibu is making $2,500 a month, so like so if you have 4 to 5 Chevy Malibus making $100,000 a year, if you double that number, that's $200,000 a year. So you can scale up in that sense. So once you decide to scale up, you need to file for an LLC, get your paperwork in order. I recommend you use CreditWise. They're not the sponsor of this video, but they're very whatever they're doing at CreditWise makes sense because they will help you structure your business the right way and get you the business credit you need so that you could actually finance your business properly and grow the right way. Okay, they would package you with a bunch of free money that you can use to grow your business. So once you decide to scale up, filing your LLC, getting your paperwork in order, and then proceeding to scale up. Okay, so scaling up involves buying more cars, like I stated earlier. So if you have 4 Chevy Malibus making $100,000 a year, if you double that number, you're basically projecting to make $200,000 a year, and so on and so forth. So you could scale this up to the point of $500,000 a year, whatever it is you feel you can handle. So you need to structure the business in such a way that your business is dynamic. You could keep providing proper service to people, and the disappointment is at the minimum. Because remember, Turo has a rating system, and you want to stay on top of your rating system and keep getting good ratings. Okay. So after that, so you have to make sure you keep filing business taxes and taking advantage of all business credit. And in which case, I recommend my friend Badu from Badu Tax Services, Jeff Badu. Check him out on Instagram. I follow him, so just go to my Instagram page and look at the people I follow, and you can see Jeff Badu right there, and you could hit him up, and he can help you with your whatever tax need that you have. So don't forget, in this country, there's always a myth that the government doesn't want, like this. Getting into business is very scary. Business is something that the government wants you to do because the government wants you to basically provide employment. So don't be scared to enterprise. Don't be scared to start a business because that's what's killing the society today. Weak people trying not to enterprise and working for somebody else. Enterprise is the founding, basically the founding culture and the founding, basically the founding of the knowledge or the basis of America. Because the thing about America is this, right? It's all the people that come here and enterprise and come up with brilliant ideas that keeps funding the society because the government cannot provide enough jobs for everybody. So if you can provide a job for people, the government will reward you for that by tax incentives. Okay, so don't be afraid, guys, to start your own business. All right. Now, the next thing you have to do is once everything is all good, you're filing your taxes, you have your cars, you're earning money. Don't forget to keep your cars roadworthy again, and keep cars in rotation. Have, basically set out the timeline for yourself. You can get some cars at 60,000 miles, and once they get to 180,000 miles, you decommission them. So you have to basically build a nice system how you want this thing to work. So you have to plan how you want to wait at what mileage you want to bring in the cars and at what mileage you're going to be exiting your whole operation. Okay, so these are things that you need to think of and you need to put in place. Then the next thing you want to do is that you want to understand that keeping this business running and building a system, right? So you want to have mechanics that are on standby in case your car needs something very minor, brakes, rotors, oil change, right? You want to have body man just in case your cars get into an accident. Sometimes these things could be very time consuming, like when you have renters that end up doing something sinister with your car, and then the car ends up in the pound. Okay, in that case, you can basically that's where the business gets time consuming. Now you have to go to the pound and you have to get the car out of the pound. Okay, but at the end of the day, if done right, Turo will refund you for whatever headaches that you have gone through. So you want to keep that in mind. All in all, this business is a very great day-to-day income generator because one thing I noticed about owning my own rental cars is that this business is one of the basic level businesses that you want to start. Why? Because it brings in that everyday income. Day to day, day in, day out, you always have money coming in and going out. So you want to take advantage of this experience because it's the ultimate uh, startup business experience for a first timer. Okay, and then for a bonus, I'm going to tell you guys this about Turo. Okay, don't quote me. When it comes to renting your cars, don't be afraid to rent your cars to rogue agents. Okay? Because the beautiful thing about it is that your car is fully insured. So if anything goes left, all you have to do is make sure that you follow the proper steps to file insurance claim. So think about it this way, right? You bought a car for $5,000. At the end of renting it for a year, the car makes about, say, $30,000. Okay? So now someone goes and crashes your car. Okay? If you had the right insurance, assuming that you're a good judgment of character, you had prejudged and understood the nature of the renter, and you put the right insurance on your car. If you had a full coverage, now the insurance pays you for that car. Let's say you bought it from the auction for 5,000, the full value of that car is 11,000. Now they're giving you a check for $11,000. In addition to the $30,000 you made, now you're walking away with $41,000 in income minus the 5,000 you paid for the car. So now you have about $36,000. That's a healthy place to be in a year for one vehicle. All right. So you want to pay attention to that. So don't be afraid to rent your car to, funny looking people in society or people that tend to look like rogue agents. Don't be worried about that. Just make sure you have the right kind of insurance going to go with your car. Okay. So, with that said, thanks again for watching. For those of you that is the first time, thank you. And for those of you that have been with us from the beginning, I also want to say I appreciate you. All right. With that said, I'll see you on the next video. All right. If you have any questions, leave your comments in the comment section. Like, dislike, subscribe. Okay. Share this video so that other people that you are acquainted with can know a thing or two about making six figures renting cars. Trust me, this business is not very difficult to run. You just have to have your ducks in a row and be someone that is good with time management and basically ready for action. All right? Thanks again. Take care. Bye.